The first shot writes the last grave. The old trail boss used to say, if you want to know where a man bleeds out, watch where he first draws his gun. That line's been circling my head like a vulture ever since I rode into this dusty nowhere town, spurs jangling ghosts behind me. I'm starting to reckon my whole life's been a prophecy carved in the bark of a lightning-struck tree, the ending already branded into the first sunrise while I was still wiping trail dust from my eyes. When I walk back through my own tracks, it's like stumbling on an old daguerreotype, my shadow's already there in the frame, older than the smile I was trying to hold still for the flash powder. Sometimes I look at where I'm camped now and it feels scattered as tumbleweed, like somebody threw my days in a whiskey bottle and let them roll where they may. But if I steady my breath and follow the hoof prints back, I can see the small drawers I pulled that quietly stacked the deck for this very hand. The corral was already built, I've just been changing how I stand inside the fence. I'm learning beginnings ain't as innocent as they play themselves off to be. That first yes I gave to bone tired, to keeping the peace when I should have drawn my line, to swallowing my voice like bad whiskey, it looked small as a grain of sand in a water trough. But those ripples been working overtime behind my back, calling the tune for where I'd ride, who I'd trust, what kind of rough treatment I'd let slide. I think about past partnerships that started as campfire talk or casuals, we're just riding together till the next town arrangements. I remember the first sharp word disguised as a joke, the first fence I let someone knock down instead of fixing. Back then I figured, it ain't worth drawing over. Now I can see those early moments were the brand, not the practice swing. The ending was already saddling up in the stable. There's something about knowing this that feels like carrying both a heavy steel bag and a skeleton key at the same time. Heavy because it means I ain't as caught off guard as I pretend to be. Freeing because if the first move speaks that loud, then changing how I ride into the next canyon might change where I end up buried. I'm starting to ask myself harder questions than any bounty hunter ever could. What was the first thing I believed about loyalty? What was the first thing I believed about my own mettle? Who taught me that my needs were something to barter away, and why'd I shake on that deal? It's wild how that first belief becomes a contract I keep signing in blood, over and over, without reading what I agreed to. Today I caught a beginning red-handed, like a rattler before it struck. Someone asked me to ride with them on a job I didn't have the stomach or the spirit for. Usually I'd say reckon so and then let it eat at me down the trail. I could already see that familiar sunset, me wrung out like an old saddle blanket, them confused as a steer in a hailstorm, and neither of us sure how we got to that lonely grave marker. I thought about that old saying and realized, this here's a beginning. So I pulled rein and said, can't do it, partner. Not today. The words felt strange in my mouth, like speaking Apache when I only knew enough to get by. But when they left my tongue, I felt tomorrow shift just a hair, like a trail that usually runs straight suddenly forking off in a direction I'd never noticed before. Maybe changing the ending ain't always a high noon showdown. Maybe it's one uncomfortable word at the start, before the guns are even drawn. I'm also noticing that some beginnings weren't never mine to claim. They're hand-me-downs, family feuds, old range wars, wounds that started before I ever drew breath. It's like inheriting a weathered homestead with busted windows and a roof that moans in the wind. I didn't choose the timber, but I do choose what I shore up, what I repaint, what I refuse to pass down to whoever rides through next. There's a strange peace in realizing I can be somebody else's fresh start. If I heal up a little, if I speak true a little sooner, if I stand my ground a little louder, maybe the young guns coming up behind me won't have to start at the same crossroads. Maybe their endings won't have to shoot their way out of as much as mine learned to tolerate. The more I backtrack, the less random my trail feels. The first time I stayed quiet when I had something worth saying. The first time I laughed off my own wound so it wouldn't spook the herd. The first time I branded myself too wild or not worth the trouble and wore those marks like they were gospel instead of lies carved by cruel hands. These weren't just moments. They were maps. They taught the future how to treat me, and they taught me how to ride alongside that treatment like it was the only trail in the territory. But here's the sliver of dawn breaking through all this, I'm still breathing under this sky. The story ain't finished till the last campfire goes cold. I can look at the beginning of this next thing, a habit, a journey, a partnership, a thought, and ask myself, if I follow this track to the end, do I like where it drops me? If the answer's no, I can choose a different first step, even if my boots are worn to the shape of the old path. Tonight, before I bed down under the stars, I carved a message into my saddle leather. If you want a different ending, guard the beginning like it's the only waterhole for 100 miles. I can't rewrite all the chapters already wrote and done, but I can be more awake at the thresholds. I can listen closer when a new yes or no is forming behind my teeth. I can stop pretending my first choices don't matter none. The first shot writes the last grave. But I'm the one holding the iron that pulls the trigger.